Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands. On today's show, I have the CEO of Safeway Driving, Brad Coleman, and I have a special co-host this afternoon. I have my dear friend and mentor, the founder of the iFranchise Group, Mark Siebert. Mark, thanks for being on today's show with me.
Thanks for having me, Frank. It's good to see you again.
It's great seeing you. Well, Mark, this is the first time you and I are doing the show together. I appreciate when you were a guest, and I think this is going to be fun. Brad's got a really interesting story, taking over, acquiring a driving school that started back in the 70s, and he's been with the company now for about 15 years. So I think this is going to be exciting. We'll kind of tag team him.
Sounds great.
Before I bring Brad onto the show, here are three things you're going to learn from today's episode. One, how a former NASCAR driver turned his passion into a thriving franchise business. Second, the story behind buying a decades-old driving school and transforming it into a modern technology brand. And finally, how Brad bought back the business he originally sold to investors. All right. Well, with that said, Brad, welcome to the show.
Hi, Frank. Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. Brad, it's great having you. So, all right, let's start with the kind of the origin of Safeway Driving.
Yeah, like you said, Safeway Driving was started in 1973 by a football coach named Gene Walker and his wife, Jeannie Walker. Gene and Jeannie Walker, so very fun names. And he was a football coach that was teaching driver's ed at the high school. You know, a lot of people used to learn in the high school, saw an opportunity to go start a commercial driving school, and he did it, and it's become the established brand here in Houston. Been doing it for over 50 years, and it's a great brand.
Wow. As soon as you said he was a football coach, I knew immediately that he was doing the driver's ed at a school. Because those two things goes together, right? The football coach inevitably does the driver's ed at school.
That's right. And of course, he had always had a pencil behind his ear, just ready to go with the clipboard. He was a good football coach and driving instructor.
Awesome. All right. So he starts this in 73. How long is he running the company before you come into play?
He's running it until the end of 2009. It's what him and his wife Jeannie are doing. They grew across Houston to I want to say about 5 locations. And Houston's big. There was a lot of driving he had to do. So Gene and Jeannie were running it all the way up till 2009. And they did a great job with it. It was your typical driving school. You go into the classroom and clipboards everywhere and all that. And I'm actually a proud Safeway graduate myself. I went through Safeway when I turned 15. I mean the day I turned 15. I could not wait to get my license. I was in their classroom. And it was 2009, towards the end of my NASCAR racing career, that we met back up and had the opportunity to take it over.
All right. Well, we don't always get somebody with a NASCAR background. That's, I would imagine, starting a driving school for, safe drivers, focusing on teens, right? And how did that whole thing come into play then?
That's not something you think of when you think of safe driving, is it? Putting somebody who goes over 200 miles an hour in the car with a teenager, to a lot of people that doesn't mix. I'll say it mixes really well, though. When you're a professional race car driver, you work really hard at being the best you can at driving a car fast. But in order to win races, that means you also need to avoid crashes. And you also need to be very aware of your competitors, what they're going to do, and analyze just the entire situation on the track so that you can put yourself in the best position to win. So that translates really well to driver's ed and teaching drivers how to scan their surroundings, be really aware of that. So how I got back connected with Safeway was during my NASCAR career. Nationwide Insurance was a big sponsor at the time, and they had sponsor obligations for us drivers, which I was not too excited about. One of the obligations was for us to go to a high school. We were traveling the country every weekend. We're in a different city. So whatever high school in that city they wanted us to go to, we'd go to and speak to the high schoolers about the dangers of distracted driving. And to get up in front of a group of high schoolers is hard, no matter how old you are. I was 19 years old, so I still felt like a high schooler. So I was just nervous being up in front of them. The majority of them were like, "Oh man, I can do it. Yeah, I'm cool. I can do it." And we had a simulator there where we would drive side by side. I'd hand them a phone and they would try to do it. And there was one kid where I could tell it clicked. He was driving great. We handed him the phone and he just started driving like people do when they're having a phone. And it clicked with me, and it changed from a sponsor obligation to, wow, I actually really love coming and speaking to these kids, and the fact that I can make an impact and maybe change someone's life. It really sparked something. And I knew I wasn't going to be racing NASCAR forever. Right. So I went and talked to my dad, who's a great businessman and was my manager at the time, and said, "Hey, I really enjoyed this. Like, what do you think I could do after racing that has to do with this?" And he said, "Well, why don't we go talk to your old coach, Walker, who you went to driving school with, and let's just chat with him about it and see what he thinks." And it actually turns out that him and Jeannie were looking to retire, and it was just the perfect segue.
It occurs to me that some of the skills that you need for racing and also for teaching people how to drive are some of the same skills that you need for franchising. How'd you make the decision to make that jump, and when did that happen?
Yeah, that happened about 4 years after, so about 2013, 2014. In 2010, when me and my family bought Safeway, it was really my dad leading the way with his business expertise. He's a branding guy, a marketing guy. He's done that his whole career, had his own firm. So he helped me see the opportunity with taking your typical driving school, which when you think of driver's ed, you already picture it in your head, the instructor, the classroom. It's not a fun place to be. So we came in and just totally rebranded Safeway, created the logo and the whole experience that we wanted our drivers to go through. We wanted it to be something they're excited about, a premium feel, and then bring technology into it. Get away from the clipboards. Let's get some iPads. Let's get some computers. And a group of local investors in the Houston area saw what we were doing and wanted to be a part of it. So they ended up coming and investing and taking majority of the company. And in our meetings with them, when we were talking about growth strategies, we were trying to decide, okay, do we want company stores or do we want to do this franchise deal? Mm-hmm. And we can go more into it later, but we decided to go the franchise approach because we wanted that small business feel in the community. Driver's ed's really something that is a special moment in your life. It's something you go through once, hopefully. And it's a big deal. Kids are nervous. So we want that driving school, that Safeway location, to feel like it's a part of the community, not some big chain where you just go in and go out, but someone that's a local presence. They live in the community, they care about their community, and they're going to run it like the small business that it is.
Yeah. Brad, one of the things that I'm always so curious to hear the story on the transition from founder to CEO. So before you even franchise, you acquired this company. How was it taking over Gene and Jeannie's baby? And did when they sold it to you, were they completely out, or was there a transition period? And how did it feel acquiring something? And what were some of the pros and cons to that?
Yeah, to be honest, I was still racing at the time. I was still in NASCAR. You can see I have a Safeway brand and helmet there. So the first year that we owned Safeway, we stuck it on the NASCAR. We put the logo on there. We had student driver on the back of the car, which of course I got made fun of a lot.
Oh man!
But of course,
that takes
if
courage,
one of my
man.
competitors made fun of me, I said, "Well, you can see it because I'm in front of you." So
nice.
You can only make fun of me so much. But like I was saying about my dad, he's branding genius, knows how to create an experience, and he went to work. He did the big brunt of the work of taking it, flipping it. He had the vision of what it could be business wise, while I took over what does our curriculum look like? What does our instructor training look like? Because we wanted, Coach Walker did a great job. He was really one of the national leaders in driver's ed his whole career. Everybody knows him in driver's ed, and he created a system which worked beautifully. So we didn't change much. We just modernized it and fine tuned it and added some things I learned from my NASCAR career.
You gave it the branding that it needed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So kind of back to what Mark was saying really about franchising. So you're running this company from what, '09? That's when you came in, right? Until, and you start franchising in when, around 2014?
2014. Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So we start franchising. What is life like now when you first franchise this concept? Are you hitting the ground running on all cylinders? Is there a little bit of a struggle? What's going on?
Yeah, it took off quick. My dad, me and my dad, of course, were still there. And he is the branding guy, but he is a salesman too. He can go out and sell. And if you need to bring people in, he's your man. So he immediately started reaching out to people he knew, and then also existing customers and former customers, because all our customers have a great experience. What I love is when they say that their kid is a great driver, that they've learned a lot, and they're super thankful for that. So when we started reaching out, letting them know there was an opportunity for them to take this and impact their community, a lot of them were very excited about it. And it was because of the experience they had with us, and they wanted their community to be safer. They're driving on the roads with those people. They want them to be better drivers too.
Sure.
So that's how it really started spreading. And the first year there were 16 locations that were awarded.
Wow. That is amazing. Mark, one of the things that Brad said that really sticks with me, I've talked to a couple of hundred founders, right, in the last couple of years doing the show. And what Brad said that other founders, I hope, heard this, that are emerging, is where he found his first dozen franchisees. Because people think when you're first starting out, you have to compete with the 4,000 brands, right, Mark? So you think you're just going to blow a ton of money when you're unknown. Whereas what Brad said is exactly where I'm hearing again and again founders find their first dozen franchisees. It's existing customers, it's friends, it's people who know them already. It's the referrals, right?
Yeah, it's the buy-in.
Yeah, but Mark, right? Isn't that one of the biggest issues when we start launching a brand, right? When you helped launch my company, 20 something years ago, we knew that we were unknown, like so many brands that you launch, and you've got to start with that circle of referrals and kind of build out from there, and just not you can throw money at the problem or at the opportunity, but it takes more than that, because there's a trust factor, right, Mark?
That's right. Yeah, there's absolutely a trust factor, and people that you know, and people that have a passion for what it is that you're doing. Those are always going to be the best franchisees. How did the first handful of franchisees work out for you? Did any struggles with the implementation?
Yeah, we overall big success. The majority of them are still here, just did their renewal after 10 years, and are expanding and adding more territories and more locations. We had a couple that got into it, and I'm sure you guys have seen this many times, where there's a lot of times where people expect when they get a franchise that they open the doors and people come, and that's it. You've got a system, it's going to work. I don't have to do anything, and that's not the case. It's especially with driver's ed in the community, you've got to get out there. You've got to go to the high schools. You've got to go to your farmers markets. You've got to go just meet people, tell them how what you're doing makes a difference in their lives, and why they need to go with you. And we saw some people that wouldn't put in quite the effort to do that, and it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do it.
We see a lot of people that are that when they first get started, they do have some issues with the first franchisees, and maybe those franchises feel a little bit like the world is going to be handed to them. And how did you go about sort of refining your sales process and refining your targets from there to find people that really understood the kind of hard work that's involved in becoming a franchisee?
Yeah. So, like I said, the first year there were 16 locations that were awarded, and we awarded probably five more the next year. And the group of investors that had come in that I had told you about wanted to focus more on operation stuff and just improving our system. So they actually stopped franchising and shut it off in order to just improve things. And then we just turned it back on. I actually acquired the entire company 3 years ago. There's a long story there too. So I'm sole owner now, and
Congrats.
yeah. So I wanted us to get the franchising again because what we're doing at Safeway is actually making a difference on the roads here in Texas. We have government statistics from the Texas Department of Public Safety that show that graduates from Safeway Driving, their chances of getting in a crash are cut in half versus the average driving school
Oh my
because of
God.
our curriculum, because of the way we teach, and we don't just give them a license, we train them how to drive. So when I see these stats and I see what we're doing and the impact we're making, I've got to get out across Texas because if we successfully grow, I know we'll see the crash statistics in the entire state go down. It's proven that that'll happen. So that's really my goal.
Wow, congratulations. Brad, I was thinking about this show coming up, and I was telling my kids. My kids are 27 and 24, and I remember when they were in a driving school, they had this driving instructor who, the guy was hilarious. And I said to my kids, I said, I can't wait. When I have Brad on the show, I got to tell him this story. All right. So here's the deal. So this guy, Cole, he said he's always told the kids, and he's taught many, many people in the Tampa Bay area. He tells them he has three rules of the road for driving. Rule one is make sure you don't hit anybody.
Yeah, that's good.
Rule two is don't let anybody hit you. And rule three is keep all four tires on the road at all times.
You don't need anything else. If you do those three things, you're going to have a good time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Those were Cole's driving rules of the road, and they worked out well for my kids. But I want to ask you, though, back to your franchisees, because we all struggle. I struggle too, especially when you bring on the referrals, the people who they just kind of like your brand, they don't really know what to expect. After you kind of figured this out, I'd be really curious to hear what are the attributes of a really successful franchisee? What do they need to do, and what do they need to be like to really succeed in this business?
Yeah. What we're seeing as really successful franchisees is one, somebody that's going to be a part of the business. It's not somebody who buys it and sees it as mailbox money and someone else is running it. It's someone who's a part of it in their community. And more specifically, people with sales or marketing background that aren't afraid to talk to people and just share what they're doing. Those you're going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get out in the community, of course, but it sounds like really to grow this business, it's all about scale and having multiple vehicles, right?
Yes. Yeah. You're going to want to have multiple vehicles. And what's great about it is you can have one vehicle. The way our territories are made, we use Texas data for high school attendance zones. So, as you know, when there's a high school, the state maps out the attendance zone of if you live in this area, you go to this high school. So we just said we're going to award territories based off of high schools. So you can have Memorial High School, for example. Everybody that lives in that zone is going to you. So that simplifies that.
Are the high schools not teaching it in their curriculum anymore?
So there are a few that still do in Texas, but it's really migrated to commercial driving schools that do that. And in my opinion, that's a better education. You're gonna learn how to drive better, and not to knock on the instructors that do it at the public school, but that's not their primary thing. They're a football coach or a biology teacher, and then they do that on the side to make some money. When this is what we do. We live, we breathe driving safety, doing the best we can to help our customers. And I care deeply about our road safety. I've got two kids. My wife and two kids are out on the road. I need everyone out there to be safe. And if you ask her, I care probably a little too much. I'll comment on every single thing I see on the road. That's a combination of the driving instructor in me and NASCAR driver. So, yeah, we're just, and we just want the road safer.
What kind of cars do you guys use to teach kids,
Yeah, we
and
use
why?
all Toyota Corollas. And we've started migrating to the Corolla hybrids. The Toyota Corolla has just been a staple driver's ed car. It's easy to control, incredibly reliable because Toyota is incredibly reliable. And it
Mhm.
was cool because there was a connection there from my NASCAR days. I raced for Joe Gibbs Racing towards the end of my career, and they have Toyotas. Was the car manufacturer that they were partnered with. So there was a cool partnership there, and we used Nationwide Insurance, who I told you about. So it was fun combining those. And our cars, if you go to our website, you can see our cars are branded NASCAR style. They've got car numbers, they've got the graphics on the side. They look beautiful. They all are clean, well kept. Every 4 years, you're getting a new car because the safety, the technology, it just keeps improving. So we want our customers to have the best when they get behind the wheel. We don't want them getting in a 1998 Toyota Corolla that's got holes in the floorboard and just having a nasty experience. We want them to sit in there and feel good and actually learn in cars that they'll be driving when they get out on the road.
Yeah, I drove a Reliant K car in my driver's ed class, as I recall, back in the 80s.
I don't even
God,
remember.
that thing was horrible.
I don't even know what a Reliant car is, man. I know cars. What is that?
Oh, Mark, you know what a Reliant K car is, right?
I mean, I don't think so. Um,
Okay, it was a box. It
it,
was an awful, awful vehicle.
it doesn't
And
sound like a very popular model.
No, no, it was not.
I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Brad, tell us about training and support. What does that look like exactly? How do we train franchisees, and how much of it's like classroom versus actually teaching them how you want them to teach people how to drive?
Yeah, there's our training company or area is called Safeway University. Of course,
Okay.
you've got a lot of companies that have university after their name. It's Safeway University, and I've got a director of that's what they do. They keep updating our curriculum, and when we sign somebody, they come into the office for a week, and we just hit them with a fire hose. We teach them all about driver's ed, which is confusing in itself. Then we teach them about our system and how we want to treat the customers. And then there's a separate 2 week training for instructors. And it's 2 weeks if you are doing it pretty much all day, every day, because we don't skimp on that. That's really, where the rubber hits the road with the customer experience. That's where they're going to spend the most time with us. And that's where they're really going to learn how to drive. We have online classroom, which gets them prepared for that, but it's in the car where they really learn how to drive. So the state of Texas passed a law a couple of years ago where to be a driving instructor, you don't need any training anymore. It used to be a college level deal. Now anybody could be a driving instructor, and I absolutely don't agree with that. I still require all of our instructors to go through rigorous training because when you put your kid in the car with us, you need to know they're in good hands and that they're going to learn. So that's what makes us twice as safe as the other schools is our commitment to that. And so if you come on board with us, you get trained in our system, and then every instructor you get is going through this training, which combines online and then in car student teacher back and forth training.
It sounds like it's a great opportunity, and where you can get somebody into a business, and I think the investment's pretty reasonable, right? And at the same time, people are saving lives. I mean, it's not like a pizza franchise.
Pizza's important. I love pizza, but
Pizza is very important.
that's something that I think really helps us stand out. If I was in an elevator and had one sentence, it's save lives, make money. I mean, that's basically what you get to do when you're a part of Safeway. You're making a difference in your community that's tangible. We have the data that shows that it works. So all your kids' friends, your friends' kids, like everybody in your community is getting safer, and you get to make money while doing it. It's incredibly rewarding.
Brad, what's the investment range to actually open a location?
Yeah, so we have an initial franchise fee that's based per car. You were asking about cars earlier. We have a formula to figure out how many cars you should have in whatever zone you get based off of demographics that we get from the state. So the average one is 2 cars. And that's a starting point. So it's 35,000 per car for that. So let's say you get 2 cars, 70,000 initial fee, and then you're out running. Of course, there's some money to spend on the initial marketing, $10,000-$15,000 with that. And what's great about this is you don't need expensive real estate. With our model, you can, if you want to have your office in a WeWork, you can do that, but you're not spending much time in your office. You're out in the community, and then you're training people in cars. We have that model where what we call drive sites, where we go pick up our students. So we find areas in the community that are conveniently located, really central for where all our customers would live, and we'll pick them up right there. If the franchisee wants that to be a storefront, a retail storefront, they can do that. Or if they want to have just a small WeWork office somewhere and then go to the parking lot of an HEB, which is a big grocery store here, we have some that do that too. And it's a big range, and they all love it.
Wow. What's the which franchise has the most number of cars in their fleet? And you've got what, about 24 franchise locations and a couple of corporate stores.
Yeah, it's been a race between 2 franchisees. One out in Katy, Texas. His name's Rick, and then one up in the Woodlands, Texas, named John. And John has been growing and acquiring new locations. So I think he's in the lead now with cars. I want to say he's got at least 15 cars.
Oh, wow.
He's got almost all of North Houston, and he's doing a great job. He's in his community. That's what you want to see. He's going to high school PTO meetings and speaking about safe driving and what Safeway does, and yeah, he's growing.
And 2 great territories, by the way, Katy and Woodlands.
You offer any financing programs relative to the vehicles?
So the way it works is they buy the vehicle. If they want to pay cash, they can. If they want to finance it through their bank or through Toyota, they can do that too.
You can't lease a car, I would imagine, that you can use for driving school, can you?
I don't think you can, because you do need to install the instructor brake and accelerator, which I think leases prevent that. So yeah, all of ours just buy the cars, and then, we turn them over every 4 years to have the freshest ones, like I mentioned. So you get that value to put back into it, and they all just have their monthly payments.
That makes sense. I think the leasing company would probably frown upon that.
Yeah. You get quite the bill to fix it after.
True. What's something that surprised you in this process since you franchised the business that you were like, man, I was not expecting this?
The intricacies that come with just being a franchisor and the legalities of it, and the paperwork, the incredibly long FDD that you got to read over and over again. And something that's really, I think has been really cool to see is just the importance of consistency in franchising. I like that a lot. I like that it's the franchisees don't have to really think hard about how do they want to set things up or how do they want things to look. It's here's how it looks, and you just execute on it. And it really allows them to not worry about how do I run this business per se, and it's how do I just go out and get customers, which was what we want to set them up to do.
I suppose that, are you doing an item 19? I wouldn't want you to talk about it on the podcast, but are you doing an item 19 in your disclosure document?
I believe we have that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say it. You probably don't want to say something about that on a podcast because the podcast is going to be running forever and it's going to change over time. But how could people get more information if they wanted to find out more about what you're doing? Because I mean, this whole idea of sort of, making money while you're saving lives, to me, it's like you could probably calculate how many lives you're saving if you just figure 1 out of every X number of crashes is a life saved. You're going to be, at some point in time, you're going to be the thousands of lives saved. Your franchisees are going to save lives in their communities. But I would think that's got to be so appealing, but they want to see a little bit more. So if they wanted to find out more about you, where would they go to get that kind of documentation? Could you provide that to them?
Yeah, if you go to SafewayDriving.com, up at the top, there's a franchising button. And then if you fill out that form or call the phone number, or email us. We can get you all the information. We've got brochures that's got a lot of info. And then I'm working with LDC Franchising, run by Kevin Hogan, who's been in franchising for a long time, doing Whataburger stuff, Texaco stuff, who's helping us just inform people of what it means to be a franchisee in general, and then with the Safeway system. So his team would be in touch with you. Once you get through him, then you talk to me.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
Brad, we've got to get you out of Texas only because you offer such a great franchise opportunity that, again, is saving lives. Tell me, where does this thing going over the next 5, 10 years? How are we going to get you to expand and get you out of Texas?
Well, step one is definitely Texas. We've already had inquiries for California, North Carolina, and we could do that. But the way I want to grow is not as fast as I possibly can. I did not buy this business to just make money. That isn't what inspired me to do it. I was a professional NASCAR driver. I was making all the money I could have wanted. And I decided to be a driving instructor because I wanted to make a difference in the community. And I take this with the driving instructor heart and with the dad heart. And I go, I want to grow sustainably, and I want to grow really with quality people and quality locations. I don't want to just go as fast as I can and all the stuff that goes with that. So we're starting in Texas because we're here, because we know the laws here. The laws are different in every state for driver's ed. It's quite complicated, depending on which state it is. So we want to make sure we're doing it right here, and then we'll start going to other states.
All right, fair enough. Well, I got something else for you. Yeah, I've always kind of viewed this podcast as not just spotlighting the founder or CEO that's on this show, but the lessons that you're gleaning, that you're sharing with other founders that are watching or listening to this. And we talked, you kind of glanced over or kind of mentioned about buying back this business from investors. I'd love for you, if you wouldn't mind, kind of share kind of the story behind that a little bit, and why that took place and how life has been since doing that.
Yeah, I just had the opportunity. I've been, I was really involved with Safeway from 2010 to 2015. And then I just stepped that back a little bit to be more of a brand ambassador. I mean, I was still speaking with kids. I was all over the online curriculum, still a part of Safeway, just not a part of running the business. I would have the owner meetings with them, of course, and all those things. And then it just happened to have the opportunity where I was meeting with them, and it came up, and I saw the opportunity, and I've just always loved Safeway and what it was about, and knew that where I wanted to take it. So when I had that opportunity, I jumped all over it, and not really knowing much about what I was doing other than I wanted the customers to get the best experience possible. I was not planning on opening up franchising again,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw an opportunity to just improve the product for our customers, and that's what I did. And then it came naturally where franchising was the next step.
Were you able to run the business differently as being the sole owner versus the investors? How much influence did they have over strategy and decision making before, when they owned it?
Well, it was all whatever strategy they wanted, whatever decisions they wanted. They're incredibly smart businessmen. So when I came in, I'm a very talented driver, but not an incredibly smart businessman like they were. So I've had a lot of learning to do. I've been reading books like yours, Mark. Thank you. And got mentors and really using my experience from my NASCAR days and all the boardrooms I was in there. But what's great about me coming back and taking over the role is I had a fresh perspective. I wasn't stuck in the day-to-day operations. I wasn't stuck in, well, this is just how it has to be because this is what it's been. I was able to come in with my team and ask, well, why do we do this? Well, what if we do this? And one of the biggest things I wanted to do was when I came back, I brought at the time our biggest franchisee on board to be the president of the company. And he's Rick, the guy out in Katy. He was doing a great job out there. His customers are having a great experience. I said, will you come in and just help us just streamline things and improve things for our customers and then also for the other franchisees? And he He's done a great job with that. And last year he stepped back into his franchise because they're blowing up so much. He needed to help manage things, and they're doing great. So he's back as full-time franchisee now.
Wow. Mark, Brad did kind of the reverse of everything we hear in franchising. You start out with investors, then you buy it back. How often are you hearing that, Mark?
Well, he's doing a lot of things right, though, too. I mean, he's staying fairly close to home, which is a lesson that's hard to learn sometimes. He's focused on franchisee success, which is also one of those best practices kind of lessons. I think that the things that he's doing are great. What he's doing here, I don't hear very many people buying back the businesses from their founders, but or from the people that have bought them out originally. But if you love it, you love it. That's what it's about. Having passion for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Brad, it sounds like this is a legacy business for you long term, right?
Yeah, it is. I would love to be a part of Safeway for a long, long time. I'm very passionate about driving. I'm very passionate about road safety. And I'm somebody who wants to, I need to love what I'm doing. I can't do something just for money. That's not going to make me go. Yeah, I have to care about it, and I have to really be passionate about it. And that I've found that here with Safeway Driving, and it's something I'll be a part of for a long time.
Awesome. All right. Well, Brad, one more time, let us know what's the website again if someone was interested in learning more about the franchise opportunity.
Yeah, if you go to safewaydriving.com, we've got the franchise button up top, and that'll get you started.
All right. Sounds great. Brad, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. I wish you all the continued success. And Mark, thanks for being the guest co-host. I appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And Brad, it was really great meeting you. I love the idea of a company that is saving lives while they're making money. That's just a tremendous, tremendous thing that you're doing. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you, Mark and Frank. And yeah, Mark, like I said, I'm reading your book actually right now. So I'm a little starstruck. So thank you.
Your next book should be the one that Frank wrote, Running with Your Head Down, because it'll tell you about the life journey of a franchisor.
Ooh, that'll be the next one.
All right. Well, thank you. And Mark, the title for your latest book?
The Franchise Your Business is in the second edition now. So,
all right. Awesome. Guys, thanks so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Okay. Great talking to you.
Frank.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.